Okay, guys, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Now, fasten your seatbelts. Here we go. All right, guys, I'm back, and it's Sunday, October 11th, and it is 9:53 p.m. Eastern Time. Let's get into the news. But first, I want to thank a couple people, because without them, the show wouldn't be possible. So thank you guys, and all of you guys that support this channel in one way or another, either through coffee or Patreon or through prayer. That's important too. Comments, it's all important, and I appreciate you all very, very much. All right, Alexandras, Anon, JMDG, Big Booty, Gumby's mom, and Julie Boyce Hall. Now, I think the top two I thanked yesterday, but I can't remember, so I would rather thank somebody twice than not at all. So thank you guys, and let's get into the news. All right, well, first thing is this, and this is from Darlene on Twitter. I just saw an ad from Joe Biden. He said he was going to treat us like family. I can't wait to go to China and come back a millionaire and have a job that pays me $150,000 a month. Gee, I think we'd all look forward to that, right? I mean, he's going to treat us like family, right? So he should maybe just give us all jobs, maybe doing things that we're not qualified to do, and, pay us an extraordinary amount of money for doing nothing, because that is exactly the treatment that his son got. So I'm expecting that. Of course, I mean, because he wouldn't lie, would he? He said he was going to treat us like family. There you go. All right, and let's look at this. Lots of stuff here today. All right, since Joe Biden refuses, this is from James Woods, and I love watching his Twitter. I love it because the guy is smart, witty, you name it. If you need somebody to follow on Twitter that's good, yeah, pick James Woods. He's hysterical. Anyway, since Joe Biden refuses to tell his own supporters what his plans are for the future, they don't deserve to know. Here's the actual breakdown of his explosive tax-raising scam. And it is a scam. Yeah, let's look at this. Comparing Biden tax plan versus Trump policy. Well, corporate taxes, Trump 21%, Biden 28%. Income and payroll taxes, Trump 37%, Biden 52.0%. Wow. Small business taxes, Trump 29.6%, Biden 39.6%. Now, I would assume that this is the most taxes that a corporation would pay, what you would pay for income tax the most, and small business taxes, what you would pay the most. So the most for Trump is 29%, Biden 39%. But income and payroll taxes, Biden's cap is 52%, over half of what a person makes. Small business taxes, 29 versus 39. Capital gains and dividend taxes, Trump 23.8%, Biden 43.4%. So there you have it, because you're never going to hear that from Joe Biden. He's never going to just come right out and tell you the truth, because he believes, because he said so, that you don't deserve to know. Now, isn't that lovely? I don't like being treated like a child, and I don't like my hand being held. I don't like people telling me what to believe, and I don't think that you do either. So, yeah, I don't know how he thinks that insulting his voter base is going to get him ahead, but apparently he does. I mean, he's an equal opportunity offender. He offends everyone. Black, white, doesn't matter who you are, what color you are, whether you're rich, you're poor, whether you're Christian or atheist, doesn't matter. He's going to offend everyone. Sooner or later, everyone. All right, let's go back. All right. And let's hit on this, because we can. Man, I am enjoying this coffee. You can tell that I'm enjoying it this much. That's what happens, yes. All my cups have this on it. I have to scrub them extra hard to get lipstick stains off my coffee cups. I'm sure some of you women may have that problem, and others may think that I'm just Absolutely freaking crazy. Probably wouldn't be too far off. All right, let's look at this. Somebody needs to go to jail and be prosecuted first. Obviously, this is a slam dunk. So, let me make it bigger for you tiny phone people. Hang on here. Let's bring it back to the start here. Make sure that you can hear it, see it, and here we go.
So, Rick, you have said that...
This is Rick Grinnell, by the way, and Maria Bartiromo.
According to Ratcliffe's this declassification, we have now proof that Obama and Biden directed their administration to use the powers of the government to attack their political enemy, that being Donald Trump. Who, in your opinion, was the mastermind? And tell me what was going on here.
Well, we now know that not only was this a Russian collusion hoax, but that it was known to be a Russian collusion hoax by career intelligence officials. And that's a really big distinction. We now know that insiders in the government, at the CIA, at DOJ, at FBI, they knew that this was a Russian collusion hoax, and they allowed it to go forward for a variety of reasons. They were convinced that Hillary would win, and they didn't really want to challenge Goliath. They thought that their careers could be benefited if they just shut up. But here is the key to this whole argument that politicians in Washington need to focus on. I would also say the president's cabinet members and the inspector generals all need to focus on. Right now we have Comey and Brennan and others saying that they didn't know that this was a Russian collusion hoax.
They knew.
Their people knew. And so what we need to figure out is what level are these individuals going to go to jail? Somebody needs to go to jail and be prosecuted first, obviously.
Amen.
And this is a slam dunk. They lied to the American people. They knew a truth and they hid the truth. This can never happen again. We cannot allow our government to weaponize information to hold it back. You know, now we've got Joe Biden literally saying that the American people don't deserve certain information. He got caught on a camera saying that. This is the ways of Washington. We need transparency, Maria. It's a very foreign concept in Washington, D.C., but the American people need to understand that those in Washington are hiding information from them. They think we're stupid.
They do. They do indeed think we're stupid. And there's so much coming out right now. And I'm glad actually that I did follow Q for all that time, because the information that we got from Q was good information. Now, I know I have some parts of me that feel uncomfortable with Q, but I'm not questioning the information we got at all. I think that it was good information, and I'm glad now that we had a foundation really being laid all those times. Well, we're almost at the 3-year delta. We will be, I think the 28th of this month, we will be at the 3-year delta for Q. And I expect something to happen at that time. I really do. You know, what it did was it laid a foundation so that we can now, all this stuff that's coming out now, we understand it. We understand it because we've known about this for a long time, very long time, years. So, yeah. Anyway, let's go back now because there's more, always more. And let's look at this. Yeah, this I found a little bit, well, I hate to say that it was amusing, but it really is amusing because Biden-Harris hold campaign event in Arizona and the news station is shocked no supporters showed up. Well, I'm not shocked, to tell you the truth. I'm always shocked when a supporter does show up. Anyway, let's make this bigger. And here we go.
Much to see. I'll step out of the way, but it's kind of boring out here. So it's not your typical presidential campaign event. We don't see people rallying outside. We don't see signs or really much of what's going on. And I'm told by one of the Biden staffers, local staffers, is that they kind of kept the details about the visit as far as the timing and the exact locations.
Right. Excuses.
And pretty much all the people that we saw enter into the parking lot about 45 minutes ago were with the Biden-Harris campaign and the poll reporters. So you would expect to see, I mean, this is a pretty big event for the two of them to be campaigning together for the first time since the Democratic National Convention.
And
here
nobody
in Arizona,
shows up.
We've established, our state has established itself as a battleground state. And so this is technically a big event, but not a lot of fans.
And look, even the palm trees are wilting in protest of Biden and Harris even being that close to them, because they're in this hotel apparently. But look at even the palm trees are wilting in protest. Just wanted to point that out.
And fair. So we're getting information about what's going on with these meetings from our national correspondent pool reporters, but from out here, you really can't tell anything much is going on. Biden-Harris campaign not releasing a lot of details about where these events are taking place and exactly when. Like I said, you know, this is a huge event politically, but you can't tell by the outside of the Heard Museum. There's really not a lot going on here.
Well, Ms. McCain spoke at the virtual Democratic National Convention, recalling the relationship Biden and John McCain formed during their Senate careers. She then formally endorsed Biden for president last month, praising his, quote, character and integrity.
They're really showing themselves to do really well. Come on, man.
Come on, man. All right, let's go back now. I know you're all shocked. You're like, what? They held a rally and nobody showed up? What? Now, if that was Trump, there would be people everywhere. Everywhere. There would be people, thousands and thousands of people congregating outside because they didn't get inside. But, you know, Biden and Harris, yeah, nah, think we'll pass. All right, and this from Donald J. Trump. A total and complete sign-off from White House doctors yesterday. That means I can't get it because he's immune, and he can't give it. Very nice to know. Yeah, well, you know, that's not going to ease the press at all. They don't care what he says. They don't care who gives him the all clear at all. They're just going to make it up as they go, as they always do. And you know something? This lead up to the election, we have the absolute worst. The press is showing us their hinder parts. Absolutely, they are. This is the worst I've ever seen it. Really. I just can't even believe what the press is doing. And I can't believe that they're getting away with it. Anyway, this from Dan Bongino. No sane person actually takes the lib media seriously anymore, but if they did, their last embarrassing gaslighting effort to redefine court packing is most certainly the last straw. They're not even hiding it anymore. They're just republishing Dem talking points verbatim. No, they're not hiding anything anymore. They're right out in the open with it all. And this from Trump's black grandson, which is, I believe, that is, oh, what's his name? Oh, I don't know. It's just at the tip of my tongue, but he's great. Anyway, Biden created one job in 47 years. It was for Hunter. That's so true. It's true. 47 years he's had to make a difference in Washington. And has he? No. Oh, he's made a difference, all right, but not for the better. He hasn't done anything for this country. We've been paying his wages for 47 years to watch him literally sell us down the river. He doesn't care about America, and he most certainly doesn't care about Americans. Or anyone else for that matter. All right, and this from Tricia Flanagan. She's running for U.S. Senate, and I've become very, very impressed with her. Here she is saying, I'm getting intel reports that over the next 2 weeks, Democrats are planning to unleash forces of hell to regain their power. They know if they win, they stop investigations. Lose, and it's over for them. We're going straight into this storm. Be not afraid. Let's roll. Now, this is Tricia Flanagan. She is running as a Republican for New Jersey for U.S. Senate. So if you are in New Jersey, give her a serious look because I'm impressed with her. I don't know about you guys, and maybe I don't have all the information, but from what I see, she's right on. All right, and here she is again. It says, okay, the Presidential Debate Committee says that Steve Scully's Twitter account was hacked. Then why did Scaramucci reply so quickly and so seemingly familiar? This again is Tricia Flanagan, Flanagan, yeah. And yeah, look at this. Here is Steve Scully, who I have no doubt it was him that tweeted this, and his Twitter was not hacked. In fact, even the mere premise of that is absolutely ludicrous. So he says, at Scaramucci, should I respond to Trump? And Anthony Scaramucci responds right away in a very, very familiar way. Says, ignore. He is having a hard enough time. Some more bad stuff about to go down. Oh, well, how does he know about that? How does Anthony Scaramucci know that some more bad stuff about to go down? So, yeah. Just very, very interesting. Because he responded at 9:45 p.m. and Scaramucci responded at 10:06 p.m. very quickly. And then, of course, Steve Scully's tweet was deleted, probably by him. But anyway, he'd like to claim that his Twitter account was hacked. And no, I never sent that to Anthony Scaramucci. No, wasn't me. Somebody hacked my Twitter. Please. And this Tricia Flanagan again says, I've said it, Rush said it, President Trump said it, now Nancy Pelosi confirmed it. Leftist intention for 2020 has always been to replace Biden with extremist Kamala Harris. Bait and switch to socialism is their plan. Let's make sure America prevails instead. And how do we do that? Vote. Vote in person. And vote red down the ticket. I mean, I don't know, desperate times calls for desperate measures, and we've got to make sure we get out there and vote. All right, and this from Donald Trump says, Steve Scully, the never-Trumper next debate moderator, got caught cold. Pulled out the old, I've been hacked line that never works. His bosses are furious at him as he's lost all credibility. I don't really particularly think he had any credibility, did he? Not to me, he didn't. Anyway, and BitChute, it says, is it really YouTube's official position that you may not question authority? Well, actually, yes. Yes, it is. And this, taken right from their, whatever you call it, there's, I don't know, what do you call that? The word escapes me, but you know what I mean. Listen to what I mean and not to what I say. Anyway, it says, content that disputes the efficacy of WHO or local health authorities' guidance on physical distancing or self-isolation measures to reduce transmission of COVID-19. You may not dispute that. So if the CDC or the WHO is saying one thing, you must agree with it or you are off YouTube. They will cut you off at the knees and laugh while they're doing it. Yes, they will. All right, and let's go on. I think we should go on. And listen to this. Listen carefully. All right, let's make this bigger.
These documents, but what does that do if we don't have John Durham and Bill Barr following up? Can you demand that they release this? People are still sitting on documents.
Yeah, I hope they're going to. And I will say this, documents are being released at a level now that nobody's ever seen before. Things that nobody thought were going to get released have been released. And you're seeing it. You're seeing it all the time. You're seeing what's going on. We caught them cold. We have them cold. And now they have to do something about it. But other documents are going to be released, Maria. which are breathtaking. Wait till you see what's coming out.
Oh, really?
Breathtaking.
Is it about Hillary Clinton or is it about the FBI that's coming out?
About everything. It's about everything. Hillary Clinton is crooked Hillary. I don't call her crooked Hillary for nothing. And just the one thing, I keep going back to it. She got a subpoena from the United States Congress, right? Got a subpoena. How do you get rid of your emails after you get a subpoena? She got text messages, emails, etc. How do you do that? It's criminal. What she did is criminal.
Well, You told me for my book, when we did the interview for my book, that there are people in government that are just protected. I guess she's protected.
Well, they're trying like hell, but we got them. We have found things that nobody can believe. Nobody can believe what we found. And I'll tell you what, the level at which we found them, people are shocked, they're stunned, and let's see what happens. But Hillary Clinton was totally crooked. And so were plenty of other
I've got
people.
to ask you this.
Yeah, so you've heard it from the big man himself. It's coming. And she said, well, is it about the FBI? Is it about Hillary Clinton? It's about everything. It's coming. It's coming. And I know we've all grown weary waiting, but let's just wait a little bit longer. I don't think we have long. I think this stuff's going to be released before the election. That's what I believe anyway. Now, yes, I could be wrong, but it would make more sense to release it before the election than after, wouldn't it? So, all right, let's go back now and see what else we can get into, because there's always more. Now, let's look at this. All right, now, yes, and this is from today, so it is hot and fresh, like the Krispy Kreme donut sign. And we've got Pelosi rejects White House's $1.8 trillion stimulus package offer. Well, of course she does. Do you think she cares about the American people? Do you think that she cares about anybody but herself and maintaining power? She doesn't. She does not. She doesn't want to give that to Trump. She doesn't want it to make it seem like Trump is helping the American people. That's how small, petty, and wicked she is. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi on Saturday rejected the latest $1.8 trillion pandemic relief offer from the White House, saying it doesn't provide enough funding to test worker safety and childcare. In a letter to Democratic colleagues posted online, Pelosi urged that the proposal is one step forward, two steps back. When the president talks about wanting a bigger relief package, his proposal appears to mean that he wants more money at his discretion to grant or withhold, rather than agreeing on language prescribing how we honor our workers, crush the virus, and put money in the pockets of workers, she said. At this point, we have disagreement on many priorities, and Democrats are awaiting language from the administration on several provisions as the negotiations on the overall funding amount continue. Now, the thing is, Trump has stated unequivocally, he has stated, send me a standalone bill for $1,200 for individuals, families, whatever. And they refuse. They refuse to do that because they're packing it full of all this ridiculous stuff, like stimulus checks for illegal aliens. Okay, I mean, if you go over to another country, any country, and you are standing in line and saying, I know I'm here illegally, but I want my stimulus money, they would look at you like you had two heads. America seems to be the only country that is doing this. But I guess that's the only way they can get voters, isn't it? The illegal aliens. That's the only way they can get voters. The Democrats. So the House Speaker said President Donald Trump's plan doesn't have any response to crush the virus, referring to the CCP, Chinese Communist Party virus, although Pelosi said she remains hopeful for a new deal. Yeah. I remain hopeful that she'll be in prison. That's what I remain hopeful for. Despite these unaddressed concerns, I remain hopeful that yesterday's development will move us closer to an agreement on a relief package that addresses the health and economic crisis facing American families. As I have said before, the devil and the angels are in the details, she said. If she wouldn't know an angel if it tap danced across her nose. It's not clear if Pelosi would make a counteroffer. The White House plan contains 1,200 direct stimulus payments, $400 weekly unemployment benefits, and $300 billion in aid to state and city governments. Funding for virus tracing and testing is also included. That's not enough for Pelosi. Mnuchin floated the $1.8 trillion proposal in a 30-minute Friday afternoon phone conversation with Pelosi. According to the White House, the new White House package was higher than an earlier $1.6 trillion Mnuchin offered and closer to the $2.2 trillion the Democrat-controlled House of Representatives passed last week. White House spokesperson Alyssa Farah said the administration wanted to keep spending below $2 trillion, but was eager to enact a fresh round of direct payments to individuals, as well as aid for small business and airlines. In a rare show of support, former Democratic presidential candidate Andrew Yang called on Pelosi to accept the White House deal. Nancy Pelosi, take this deal. But politics aside, people are hurting, he wrote on Twitter. Last week, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell said he doubts that lawmakers would pass a package before November 3rd. The proximity to the election and the differences of opinion over what is needed at this particular junction are pretty vast, McConnell told a news conference. Yeah, they really are. And you know what? Our only hope is to win a majority in the House and the Senate and elect and re-elect President Trump, because I don't know, you cannot work with the Democrats. They refuse to work with this duly elected president. They refuse. They have done absolutely everything in their power to throw obstacles in his path constantly. Now, he has achieved all of this with no help from them. Imagine how much he could have achieved for the country if he hadn't been hampered every step of the way, not only by the Democrats, but by their propaganda arm, the mainstream media. I've never seen any person alive ever bullied, lied about, and hated by the press like this president. And why? Because he's for law and order, because he wants to prosecute the egregious crimes that went before him. Yeah, and they know that their goose is cooked. They know, just like Hillary said, if he wins, we're all going to hang from nooses. She knew. She knew what Trump was, what he stood for and what he was about. And he's not a politician. He never was. He's a businessman. But he's done more for this country than any that have gone before him. So, I don't know. I feel bad for him, and I don't know how he deals with it. I really don't. I'd be a mess. You'd have to put me in an insane asylum. Seriously, I would need psychiatric help if every time I looked at the papers, my name was all over it and it was all negative and 90% of it was a lie. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how anybody would deal with that, to tell you the truth. Anyway, Chuck Callisto says, breaking report, a flyer circulating the internet indicates Antifa members are recruiting others to disguise themselves as Patriot Trump supporters on November 4th to cause confusion during riots. Yeah, so stay vigilant constantly. People aren't always who they say they are. They may look like Trump supporters, but they may not be. So just stay vigilant, people. constantly. We have to, especially during this time period before the election. All right, let's look at this. All right. Coons says that confirming Barrett constitutes court packing. Sass responds that that's obviously incorrect. And it is. It is. Because this is ridiculous. I don't know how many presidents, but I can't remember now, but there's a whole bunch of presidents that have confirmed somebody confirmed a Supreme Court justice close to the end of their term. Lots of them have. And yet, for some reason, it is absolutely horrific that Trump would even consider it. It's absolutely ridiculous. And we know that if we had a Democrat president right now, he most certainly would be confirming a Supreme Court justice before his time was up. You know that. And I know that. All right, so let's look at this. Senate Judiciary Committee member Senator Chris Coons said on Sunday that the Senate moving to confirm President Trump's Supreme Court nominee, Amy Coney Barrett, constitutes court packing and called the nominee's views disqualifying. Coons, of course, a Democrat, made the comments during an interview with Fox News Sunday host Chris Wallace. Senator Ben Sasse also spoke with Wallace on Sunday. Court packing. I'm going to be laying out the ways in which Judge Barrett's views are not just extreme, they're disqualifying, Coons said, of Democrats' strategy for Barrett's hearings. It constitutes court packing. No, it doesn't. Court packing's traditional definition is expanding the Supreme Court by law and then confirming justices to those seats, not what the Republicans are doing, which is filling a naturally occurring vacancy. Sass shot back that Coons' definition of court packing was obviously incorrect and accused the Democrat of using Orwellian language. And it is obviously incorrect, and it is using Orwellian language, claiming that court packing is filling open vacancies. That obviously isn't what court packing means, Sass said. He also called it grotesque that Joe Biden is refusing to answer the really basic question of whether or not he will support court packing as president. Biden has been asked many times his stance on the issue and has refused to answer one way or another. Biden Friday was asked whether or not voters deserve to know if he would pack the court, to which he responded, no, they don't. What they're really talking about is the suicide bombing two branches of government. Sass added, noting that if Senate Democrats, should they get a majority and Joe Biden be elected president, were to attempt to pack the Supreme Court, they would likely have to do away with the legislative filibuster as well. So, this Fox News Sunday says, Senator Sass says it is grotesque that Biden deflects on questions of court packing. He calls it a suicide bombing. Coons and Sass are set to be on opposite sides of the contentious confirmation hearing for Barrett this week, as Democrats have said that they will do everything in their power to fight the Barrett confirmation, and Republicans push to seat the nominee on the Supreme Court before the presidential election. Sass has previously made his support of Barrett known, calling her a brilliant jurist and an unsurpassed nominee. In a statement after meeting with her, Sass added that the left's apocalyptic rhetoric will seem extra nutty when Americans hear from Judge Barrett at her confirmation hearing. Well, I believe that. I definitely believe that. Democrats, including Coons, have criticized Republicans for rushing the nomination and warned that Barrett may vote to overturn the Affordable Care Act in a case that the Supreme Court is set to hear oral arguments in shortly after the presidential election. So, President Trump has said he would not only nominate someone who would overturn the Affordable Care Act, taking away health care protections from 100 million Americans in the middle of a pandemic, Coons said Sunday. Both President Trump and members of the majority of his committee have said they would only vote for a nominee who will overturn Roe versus Wade. Sass, in response to accusations that Barrett might reach conservative outcomes like overturning either the Affordable Care Act or Roe v. Wade, said that Barrett is a judge who will put aside any personal preference that she has to rule on the law. The reason I think Amy Barrett is a rock star and should be on the court is because she's very clear about her jurisprudence. She's an originalist and she's a textualist, Sass said, which means when she puts on her black robe in the morning, she knows what it is to be a judge and that it is to cloak your personal preferences. Sass continued, our judges don't wear red or blue jerseys. They don't advocate for policy positions, and we shouldn't have either Democrats or Republicans on the committee trying to figure out how they can define the future of how they'll rule on particular cases. Well, I agree with that. So anyway, what we are going to do now, and let me just check on our time. We are doing pretty well here, and right now I think we are going to hear from our sponsor. Rafa Rub has got to be my favorite line of CBD relief products. It's created in small batches and hand poured in Georgia. I've used it, works for me. I believe it'll work for you too. Got pain? Well, these days who doesn't? Back, neck, shoulder, knees, hips, hands, feet, even headaches, migraines, menstrual cramps, and skin irritations. My gosh, they even have a pet line. I like Rafa Rub best because it has the fewest ingredients and is the purest of any national brand with 0 THC. And they have the proof of that. I use the topical rub for pain, and a little goes a long way. Check out rafarub.shop. You'll find relief in a variety of products, including Rafa 100% pure CBD oil. It's not a tincture like the other brands because tincture actually means that it's been diluted down to 20%, but not Rafa Rub. And you'll only need 3 to 5 drops instead of a dropper full. So it's economical as well. Journey and Ron are patriots who care about relief. Look at rafarub.shop and use Deception Bytes when you check out to get 15% off your entire purchase. And be sure to let me know how it helps. All right, and I'm back, and let's go on with our news. Okay, well, let me see here. I can't remember. Oh, yeah, this is very important because, you know, the left is saying right now that the Taliban is supporting Donald Trump. The only problem with that is the Taliban is saying, what? No, we don't support Trump. The sad state of U.S. liberal media, Taliban terrorists deny endorsing Donald Trump. CBS misrepresented their words. Oh, I'm shocked. Yes, and this is fresh, hot and fresh from today. All right, now let's come down here. The sad state of the U.S. mainstream media, even the Taliban is fact-checking them. Yeah. Afghan militant group says CBS misrepresented its words when Islamist terrorists are fact-checking U.S. media. Yeah, and they are. You know, your reporting sucks when even the terrorists are fact-checking you. That's for sure. And it says U.S. news outlet CBS News has interpreted and published my remarks incorrectly. Nothing of the sort has been communicated as publicized by them. And that's, you know, from the Taliban. Yeah. So, The Independent reported the Taliban has denied endorsing Donald Trump after reports emerged that the Afghan militant group had said it hoped the U.S. president would be reelected. Now, this guy, whose name I'm not even going to try to pronounce, a spokesperson for the Taliban, was reported to have supported Mr. Trump's bid to remain in the White House and expressed concern over his health. CBS News quoted this guy, whose name I can't pronounce, to have said during a phone interview, "We hope he will win the election and wind up U.S. military presence in Afghanistan." But the Taliban also appeared to reject the comments as the man whose name I can't pronounce, published a clarification on Sunday saying CBS misinterpreted and misrepresented my words. Now, does that surprise anybody? Because it most certainly does not surprise me. They'll stop at nothing. They will stop at nothing with this president. They don't even hide it. But how are they ever going to get their credibility back after this? Because I think those of us that have our eyes opened, we're not going back to sleep. Once you've seen, you can't unsee. Once you see the gravity of what the mainstream media in the US and certainly in Canada is doing, you can't unsee it. You can't just go back to sitting with your cup of coffee in front of the news and saying, yep, that's what's going on in the world. You can't do that anymore. So I don't know how they will ever recover from this, to tell you the truth. So let's go on now, because we can. And again, this from Chuck Calesto says, report, Miami Police Department estimates more than 30,000 cars participated in Latinos for Trump caravan in South Florida. 30,000 cars. Now, that's not just 30,000 people, because, I'm sure there were a few cars there that just had one person in it, but there might have been vans that had whole families in it. So that's not just 30,000 people. You just think if all those cars just had 2 people in them, that would be 60,000. 3 people, 90,000. Yeah. Joe Biden has lots to worry about. I know they'd like us to believe that he's ahead in the poll, but isn't that exactly what they did with Hillary? Telling us, oh my gosh, she's so far ahead, 98% chance she'll win. Everybody laughed when they said, worried about, well, is Trump going to become president? Oh, Trump will never be president. Do you remember Obama when he said, something about, he called Trump out on calling him the worst president in history. And then he said, well, at least I'll go down. Trump said Obama will go down as the worst president in history. And Obama said, well, and took his mic and said, well, at least I'll go down as a president of the United States. And he dropped his mic. Well, I wonder what he thought after he got elected. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, and they were telling us that whole time, oh, he doesn't stand a chance. Everybody was laughing like it was the most ludicrous thing that anybody had ever suggested. And yet, there he sits, President of the United States of America. And let's just hope that in another month, he's still sitting there. Well, he will be anyway, regardless of whether he wins or not. But if he doesn't win, we know. We just saw that they held a rally and nobody came. That's a little embarrassing. All right. Well, let's look at this now. Because we can. All right. Nolte, Washington Post buries news that Black Lives Matter supporter allegedly tied to Governor Whitmer's kidnap plot. Yeah. This guy. Not a Trump supporter, not a white supremacist. Black Lives Matter. The far left Washington Post buried the news of the alleged plotters in the scheme to kidnap Governor Gretchen Whitmer. This is a great place for a collective eye roll. Yes, is a Black Lives Matter supporter. Oh my gosh, I'm so surprised. You have to trudge through more than a dozen paragraphs to find this. One of the alleged plotters, 23-year-old Daniel Harris, attended a Black Lives Matter protest in June, telling the Oakland County Times he was upset about the killing of George Floyd and police violence. But, I was told by the media, Joe Biden and Whitmer, all the plotters are right-wing racist militiamen inspired by Donald Trump. Nope, not even close. Well, like everything else, the national media and Democrats tell us this was just one more big fat effing lie. So among the alleged plotters, we can add Daniel Harris, pictured to the list of those who do not fit the fake news media's fake narrative about the whys and wherefores behind this appalling plot. Wait, there's more. Also on that list of accused plotters is Brandon Caserta, who you can watch rail against Trump here We're not going to go out and look at that. Please note, I don't want to hear more people rail about against Trump because that's all you hear lately. Please note Caserta's anarchist flag and phrases like Trump is a tyrant. Wait, there's more. And then there's accused plotter Pete Musico, who you can watch speak out in favor of racial harmony as he attacks the police here. Well, there's a whole lot more. Another fairly important piece of information, this time about all of the alleged plotters, is wrist flicked by the fake news artists at Washington Post. As their anger mounted, they trained together with firearms and experimented with explosive, discussing plans to storm the state capitol and attack police officers in their homes, authorities said. Attack police officers in their homes? Attack police officers in their homes? Does that sound to you like anything a militant group of MAGA men taking subliminal orders from Trump's secret dog whistle? Who does that sound like? Close your eyes and picture the words attack police officers in their home, and what do you see? You know what you see. You see the left-wing terrorists and Antifa and Black Lives Matter. It's all two sides of the same coin. Finally, let me say this. One of the most dishonest conceits the media hang their hats on to pretend this alleged plot to kidnap Whitmer was some sort of dastardly MAGA plot is that some of the alleged plotters are in favor of less government. Well, guess who's in favor of less government? I mean, a lot less government, as in no government at all. Anarchists, that's who. That's right. Left-wing anarchists want zero government, which is why the left-wing anarchists in Portland and elsewhere are attacking police and government facilities. Overall, 13 people have been charged in some capacity with this plot, and we now know, according to the actual charging documents, that they stand accused of wanting to attack police officers in their homes, which is anathema to everything Donald Trump has stood for throughout his presidency and stands for now as the left wreak havoc across the country with the blessing of the national media and the Democrats. As we all know, who is in favor of attacking the police, who is inspiring all of this hatred and violence against the police, Democrat politicians like Whitmer and Biden, and media outlets like the Washington Post. So when the media and Biden and Whitmer tell you Trump inspired this, that's a lie. But I guess you already knew that, didn't you? Yes, you did. All right, let's go on now, because we can. Now, let's look at this. I'm hearing strange sounds. All right. Now, Tommy Sideburns. Now, there's a name for you. Tommy Sideburns. He reported on this. New Jersey Postal Service worker arrested in connection with tossing mail, including nearly 100 ballots. Yeah, but of course, they'd like to tell us that it's safe. I mean, no, there's no fraud or anything associated with mail-in ballots. No, of course not, the Democrats say. We're seeing this in the news every single day. They're finding ballots, and strangely, they're all for Donald Trump. Wow, why don't we ever find a big old pile of Democrat ballots somewhere? Why? Why has that never happened? I can't imagine why. All right, and this from Bree. Would you look at that Whitmer hoax? The suspect who kidnapped Whitmer was pardoned by Delaware's governor last year. Paying a debt won't work this time. And John Cardillo says suspect in Whitmer kidnap plot was pardoned by Delaware's Dem governor last year. Well, isn't that interesting? So he was pardoned, so maybe he's doing a favor because he was pardoned, and maybe they said, well, we'll pardon you if you do us a little favor here. Maybe. Wouldn't put it past them. And Corey Lewandowski says the WHO is now advising against lockdowns because they disproportionately hurt the poor, which is what Donald Trump has argued from the beginning. But nobody listened to him. No. So the WHO backflips on virus stance by condemning lockdowns. So now the World Health Organization is saying, no, lockdown's bad, lockdown's bad. Why? Because it hurts the poor. You're darn right it hurts the poor. We've known that since the beginning. And isn't that what Donald Trump has said all along? Yes, it is. All right, and Elijah Schaefer says the Denver shooter who killed a Trump supporter is a registered Democrat, was part of the Occupy protests, followed radical left politicians on Twitter, followed accounts against cops, and an account related to Antifa, has a history of anti-Trump rhetoric online. So don't believe the narrative you are being given. It is an FF. And you know, the so-called killer had a watch. And what time was that watch? 10:10. Wow, where have we seen that lately? Yeah, Q. That's where. All right, and this Donald Trump, he's quoting Nate Silver, 538, who said the Trump 2016 victory was the most shocking political development of my lifetime. That's only because you got it so wrong. This time is far more enthusiasm. This time there is far more enthusiasm even than 2016. Winning many states much more easily than people understand. Big crowds. And he does have humongous crowds. I mean, they're huge, as he would say. So, yeah. Now, we're just about there for tonight. We've got 2 more items here, and let's take a look at this. This from Eric Trump. And I like this. This is why Joe won't debate in person. So, let's take a look. I'll make it bigger for my tiny phone people, because I love you guys, man. Love you guys. All right.
Has Joe Biden ever used a teleprompter during local interviews or to answer a Q&A with support?
What will your administration do to help them give him that chance?
Move it up here. You know, there used to be a basic part.
Joe Biden possibly reading his responses from a teleprompter.
Social distancing and wearing masks, which I never do when I walk outside of this house. I never film. Now, one day, on day 1.
Has Joe Biden ever used a teleprompter during local interviews or to answer a Q&A?
It's trying to distract the American people.
Can you say yes or no, Brad? Yes or no? You can't answer the question.
You know, the rapidly rising
Yeah, pretty convincing, isn't it? And our last item for today, but then there's always tomorrow. It's funny how that happens. It's like you give the news one day and tomorrow there's just like a whole new crop of it. All right, here we go. Let's look at this. And today's date is October 11th. 2020, and the president is talking about Anthony Weiner's laptop and Hillary's emails. Let's give this a listen.
Believe Russia and China were spying and knowing our secrets because of Hillary's unsecured server? Real quick, we've got 20 seconds.
Well, I think she was out there with classified information. She was giving it to anybody. It was on Anthony Weiner's laptop. And the FBI did nothing about it. And the FBI, look, the greatest people in the world are in the FBI, but the top people were scum, absolute scum.
Okay.
And they did a horrible job for our country.
Mr. President, we so appreciate your time this morning. Thank you very much, sir. President, I believe Russia and China.
So there we go. And that is it for this evening anyway. So it is, well, we've got just about an hour in for this show. And I will be back tomorrow, Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. So you guys have a wonderful evening. Stay safe, stay well, stay blessed, and keep seeking the truth. Really, seek the truth. It is the only, it's our only hope, really, the truth. Seek the truth. It'll set you free. So good night, guys.